This is Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in West Los Angeles today, joined by Margo. He is a school board member in Beverly Hills, and I'd like to speak with you as we start about standardized tests. I think it's fair to say they're the bane of everyone's existence, but we take them. And as a result of the adoption of Common Core, we now have a new standardized test, and we've had 2 years of reporting, and statewide we did better this year than last year, up to 49% meet or exceeds in English, 37% meet or exceeds in math. Still not 50% plus one, but that's where we're at. How'd BHUSD do?
BHUSD did wonderfully in comparison to both ourselves, improving
year to year,
our year to year, and in comparison with the state where we were almost 30 percentage points higher than the state average, our results. And that was very encouraging for us. We had put a lot of different programs into motion to make sure that we can see better results as far as getting down to, in the weeds and, and even supplying our high school students with more computers so they would be more prepared for the style of testing. After 30 years, because we all took the pencil and paper Scantron tests for so long, to all of a sudden move into a new style of testing that our generation could have never imagined. And I'm sorry if I'm either aging
No, I'm your generation. In fact, I'm older, but be that as it may.
Well, I carry the gray around.
Exactly, I used to, but continue.
And it took a good year or two for students particularly, but staff as well, teachers, to get used to that kind of testing. And it's a progressive style of testing where, depending on how you answer questions, the next question could be harder or easier or the same.
Right.
Absolutely. So we are encouraged by what our administrators and our teachers and their efforts in putting everything that we could do to help our students succeed at this test and have a better measurable goal. The other night, one of our colleagues asked in our public open meeting, did the state of California perhaps lower the bar on the test? Is that why scores have increased this year? Which I thought was an interesting question, to say the least. But the truth is, given anything twice in a row, you usually would do better the second time.
And let's be specific if we can, because whereas California, like I said, 49% meet or exceeds, BHUSD 77% in English. When it comes to math, 37% in California meet or exceeds, BHUSD 66%. Positive numbers, no doubt. What's, in your mind, the reason that BH is so much higher than the state? I mean, look, we can look at demography and we could say that it's a wealthier demographic, and we know that economically disadvantaged students will do not as well on standardized tests as those that are economically advantaged. Is that your sense?
When I was getting my teaching credential.
Yes, you're a teacher, I must say. Not anymore, but you were.
Well, I still am. I'm just not in the class.
Just like me. I'm a lawyer, but not anymore. I'm always a lawyer.
I'll be more willing to admit
I barely do. Right.
But for me, we learned very early on, or a particular professor I had, that the economics has almost everything to do with it. And if you look around the country, you will always find that the more economically advantaged districts seem to perform better.
And it's interesting you say that, if I may, because we're so focused often on the ethnic breakouts. Yeah. But if you look at the economic versus the disadvantage or advantage of economically, it really, that's where everything is. The proof is in the pudding right there.
Title I is based on that. Is based on the economic disadvantages for helping those students and giving them the extra support. And that was the first of those entitlement programs from the national government. And we do have one school that qualifies out of our 4 schools for Title I funds. Absolutely.
Which one?
And it usually rotates because it's actually based on the free and reduced lunch criteria. So I believe this year it's Horace Mann is qualifying for those funds this year.
And as a result,
it has been other schools.
As a result of Title I entitlement, does that school benefit from the local control funding formula bump, or no, because the entire district doesn't meet those?
No, because we're basic aid.
You're still basic aid.
We're still basic aid. Yeah.
So
Title I funds are separate from from our those funds because of the basic aid, but we still receive them. And you can also opt to not take them, by the way, because there are criteria. But as far as the testing scores, I think districts like Beverly Hills have, like any district, have multiple stakeholders. For me, it's always students first, teachers, parents, and administrators. When all 4 of them are working on all
Right.
four, as they say, and all the cylinders are pumping, then you're going to get a more successful environment, flat out. There are other districts that may have 3 of those 4 components really working well, and they can't get the other one really working well, and it's going to suffer as a result. And I always have been an advocate in both my campaigns about the stakeholders. There's, like I said, 4 of them, and they all have to be in it 150%.
There's another campaign that is before the voters of Beverly Hills this November, and it's a campaign for the district to bond $260 million. It's known as Measure Y. Give us a sense as to what Measure Y, if it passes, would do for Beverly Hills.
Unlike its predecessor, Measure E, Measure Y is specifically targeted at 3 different projects for our schools to either begin or complete or continue, as the high school may be, because that's such a large project unto itself. There's a new athletic building at the high school with a new underground parking lot, which has to be built because if we ever do work on the older building with the parking lot, we have to shut down the parking lot for 2 years.
I see.
So we need to be able to park everybody, and there's a lot of parking.
Of course.
The athletic fields and the new athletic building on top of that lot. That's the phase 2 part of the high school. Hawthorne Elementary and 8th grade school, will, 8th grade, will be get the historic buildings remodeled and up to seismic code and mechanical code, because our mechanical systems are old and failing as well. Which, on a side note, the deferred maintenance of that alone comes out of general fund budget, which comes out of the classroom. So if we can fix those with construction funds, which the bond is, it won't take the money from the classroom to fix an air conditioner, so to speak. So Hawthorne gets completely redone, top to bottom, just like Horace Mann is getting done in the first phase. And then El Rodeo will get completed. The El Rodeo's Cade School will have its final building E that's not being addressed in the first phase, get addressed in the second phase.
I want to ask you about the ballot overall. So the voters of Beverly Hills will have this Measure Y on the ballot.
Yes.
They'll also have 17 other measures that will be on the ballot. These are statewide measures, as well as some county measures that are looking for revenue. You have a statewide school construction bond, $9 billion, $7 billion for K-12. You have the Prop 30 extension, which is also statewide. That's for the wealthiest among us. You have a county measure seeking more sales tax for transportation. That's R2 or M. Then you have Measure Y in Beverly Hills. So a lot of measure seeking dollars. Are you concerned with so many measure seeking dollars that Measure Y, which will be lower on the ballot than the other ones, could get lost?
Listen, absolutely. What I heard is that we'll be at the bottom of the ballot, which is good because we won't be in the middle.
I see that analysis.
That's the way to look at it. Of course, having the letter Y and having a yes is
smart. Good
another
branding.
connection. We didn't pick the Y, by the way.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, you give choices to the county and they select. You give them a list of what you'll accept, and then they pick for you.
Okay.
Yes, it's a concern, and we knew it was going to be a concern. But for me, as a trustee, knowing that we have at least 14 buildings that have been identified by the state engineers of needing seismic upgrades, that's a done fact. That's signed up. Some of those buildings will be receiving seismic mitigation funds. Some of them it'll be past the time when those funds are still available. We don't know what the state construction bond will allocate for our schools. We can't.
Or if it passes.
Or if it passes, we can't plan for that. We have to take care of ourselves. We always have.
He is Noah Margo. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's Local Edition.